माननीय मंत्री जी।
सर धन्यवाद सर। मैं कुल मिलाकर के सब के लिए जवाब दे रही हूँ, इसीलिए सब अंश मेरा जवाब में आ जाएगा, ऐसा मैं भरोसा रख रही हूँ। ये लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी कंपनी के विषय मैंने पहले मैं जब जवाब दी उस समय ही क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन कर चुकी हूँ, फिर भी उसी प्रश्न को दोबारा पूछा गया है। लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी कंपनी definitionally different from a company which is registered under the Companies Act. The way they declare their profit and turnover is very different. And therefore, what is applicable under the Companies Act cannot be applied to them. ये अलग विषय है कि उनका भी कुछ राहत दिलाएं, वो अलग बात हो सकता है, मगर इसी को उसको एक्सटेंड करो ये नामुमकिन की बात है, क्योंकि आप एक एंटिटी के तहत आपके प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी को घोषणा नहीं करते हो जैसे कंपनीज अंडर कंपनीज एक्ट करते हैं। दूसरा उसमें सर, जब कंपनीज उनका डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, व्हेन कंपनीज डिस्ट्रीब्यूट डिविडेंड, दे पे डिविडेंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टैक्स, and then when the dividend goes to the shareholder to his hand, that is not taxed there. मगर ये सब पार्टनरशिप में नहीं होता, इसीलिए ये जो हम कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स के अंडर कर रहे हैं वो पार्टनरशिप को अप्लाई नहीं होगा। प्रोफेसर सौगता रॉय asked about the income tax. Sir, it's very different to compare developed countries and developing countries, emerging countries, emerging economies, and then say, they've given income tax reduction, therefore you should give. Government has periodically given relief to individual taxpayers. There are several exemptions offered. Exemptions also given, and standard deduction is given, and certain times exemptions are given even for home buying and many other such things which are extended to individual taxpayers. Periodically that is reviewed, periodically that is given too. Now because we want more investments to come into this country and we've given it to all companies, I repeat, to all companies under the Companies Act, to bring in a parity of sorts and to say personal income tax, I would rather deal with personal income tax on its own rather than because I've done this, I should do that. No, I value everybody who earns their living, pays their tax, and takes care of their family and businesses and everything. So personal income tax will be considered for what its merit is rather than, and it is not just me, every finance minister has looked at that. So I would just, I take it as a suggestion, sir, at this stage, Professor. I can take your word as a suggestion, and what is going to happen later is a different issue, but I've taken it as a suggestion. Sir, then, this question about is it cyclical or is it structural? If you ask me, my approach, of course the ministry, all of us have met with a lot of economists, we are analyzing, we are talking it. I can give you by date as to who are the economists, when I've met them. And some, of course, I've said it in my initial comments as to who I've met earlier. At this stage, and now, particularly at least in the last 2 months, I've spent more time addressing how I can take care of the concerns of people who've spoken to me about what kind of interventions they've required. I will spend more time to understand, is it structural or is it cyclical? And the responses are not inconsistent. They're consistent with what the industries have felt, some because of long-term structural adjustments that these companies have gone through, and some because pure change in the tastes. I mean, again, a topic which I've repeated several times, but I would want to say it again because an honorable member has raised it. It was not a frivolous off-the-cuff response, Sadirji, when I've said about Ola and Uber. It was reference to a study by RBI. If only my press conference of that day is shown again, or you see it again, you'll know. It wasn't my fancy opinion. An RBI study had said that consumption of vehicle and the way it is going to be purchased may be influenced by users of hired vehicles. And it particularly refers to the use of Ola and Uber, and therefore I had referred to even then saying, studies have referred to this as this. Nirmala Sitharaman's personal opinion, it wasn't. And even that, 2 years before my commenting, an eminent car and vehicle manufacturer, himself an industry leader, also has said that. So to constantly throw an allegation which is not correct, if only you would carefully look at the press conference that I've held. I have referred to it, and therefore every time I sit with economists or people who are in the ground, industry leaders, I do take their inputs. I may not probably refer to some of the economists who you would choose me to go and meet up with. I may not, but there are economists and economists and economists. So then, just one or two more references, sir. Why can't I expand this program to this corporate tax cut to those existing companies which may want to expand? We don't want to complicate the system at the moment, so we have not expanded it. Sir, international financial reporting standards about which Nishikantji has spoken, I want to inform him first of all, on the MSMEs and their struggle today in today's economic situation. We have ensured that the 2 outreach programs will address the concerns of MSMEs. We've given them fresh term loans, we've given them fresh working capital. Invoking one of the RBI regulations, I have clearly instructed the banks not to declare any of the MSMEs NPA till 31st March 2020. They may be stressed, and for which I've given additional working capital. We are also restructuring their loan without naming them as NPA. First thing first. So we are not indifferent to the MSME costs. But then when you talk, I can even give the amounts. MSME alone during the 2 outreach received 37,210 crores as loans. I can give you separate details about term loans and working capital and so on. And not declaring them an NPA itself should give them a great relief. But the international financial reporting standards, this is implemented by majority of the countries in the world, except of course the US, where their standards are even more cumbersome. India has implemented this only with limited carve-outs, and care has been taken to reconcile it and incorporate it with the Indian accounting standards. The belief and the objective is that it will make the financial statements of companies more transparent and help the companies in raising capital and investments from abroad. Only the top 50,000 companies follow it. Let's be clear. Only the top 50,000 companies follow it. And majority of the companies, which is inclusive of MSMEs, still only go by the Indian accounting standards. But this is not to say on the financial reporting standards that we may not review it. We'll certainly like to review, we'll certainly like to have the MSMEs talk to us about it. And I'm engaging with MSMEs on very many other things which may be useful for me to understand what more can be done to them. So at this stage, I wouldn't want to elaborate on it, but I'm attending to it. And your particular concern on international financial reporting standards causing a lot of turbulence among MSMEs, very well taken. Yes, very well taken. And the banks, because of the Basel norms, I'm constantly monitoring these two from the point of view of MSMEs. We've held a couple of meetings specifically on this point. So that is a concern well taken, sir. There was one last important point which I want to highlight. In fact, two, sir. You don't want it? No, you don't want it like that? You want it? Sir, just two other points for clarification's sake. GST has not gone down. In fact, the November figure is that 1 lakh has been crossed. And this is the third highest that we are collecting. Huh? I'm agnostic about what cost it, but it is crossed 1 lakh, sir. They can report many things, just as they've reported something wrongly about me this morning. Okay, sir? So this BSNL issue, it's a strategic asset of India, sir. It's gone through very troubled times. What did you do in the last 5 years? It's a very good question to ask. And I must credit Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad because BSNL reached operative profit level in 2014-15, if the year that I remember is correct. It's because of the effort that he and his ministry put that even BSNL could reach an operative profit level. And of course, there are issues about it, and that is why we have now given them a major infusion of cash, ensured that, of course, a lot of senior employees have been given a golden handshake. Of course, and I understand that, but they've not been left off. They've been given some kind of a pay package with which they've agreed. They have agreed to go. It's not forcefully sending them out. And for the BSNL, let me assure you, Speaker, sir, and through you, the entire House, so I can't even, sir, आपके protection चाहिए, sir, even for a minister. Sir, can I go on? Sir, so BSNL, for all the stepmotherly treatment it had faced during the UPA समय, आज उनका हालात, हमने उसको strategic importance को recognize करते हुए, उनको जितने भी cash infusion करना है, उतना करने के बाद, आज BSNL compete करने के कगार में है. मैं गर्व से कह रही हूँ, प्रधानमंत्री जी, मोदी जी के वजह से आज BSNL आज फिर से उठ रही है और अच्छा सा institution बनेगी. Sir, lastly, Nama Nageshwar Rao ji asked this question. I want to assure him, yes, it is a decision which has resulted in revenue foregone. It was announced even on the 20th of September when we brought this corporate tax cut, that approximately about 1,45,000 crores would be foregone. Yes, we are conscious of it. And we are conscious that if not today, within a matter of a year, you will have a lot more investment coming into this country. I can see the initial shoots, green shoots. People are approaching to talk about investment, and that will help in bringing greater investment, jobs, and India will become a manufacturing hub. That is the benefit that both the center and the states will receive. About GST, I've answered the question of Supriya ji. I think largely I've addressed, sir. If I've missed out on anybody, please welcome to ask me.